Wow. Here we are back with Doctales with cocktails. I guess I didn't hit the intro audio.
Well,
That's too bad. But sun's out, guns out. If May can wear a sleeveless shirt or dress, so can I. It's called gender fairness, I think, or something like that, or gender equity. Yes, there's that word, gender equity.
I thought it was just beach attire.
Or it's just the end of May in Florida, which means we're almost on the surface of the sun.
Did you see that meme that showed Florida like off, quickly approaching the sun?
Yes. No,
Yeah,
it's like we are
It is kind of gross here right now.
So did you know that Mercury does not like rotate on its axis? It just sits there. So the one side of Mercury is like bajillions of degrees, and the other side is freezing
I
cold.
think I learned that when we did astronomy in, I don't know, 5th grade, but I forgot.
Yes.
But
so
thanks for that reminder, because I feel like I'm on that side of Mercury right now.
Every time we go to bed, I'm reminded of Mercury, because I start to get hot. That's the side exposed to the sun, and then your feet touch my legs, and I'm like, that's the other side of Mercury. That's like 19 bazillion below zero. Yes.
I was going to say,
perfect.
Clearly, you're not in menopause, because I go to bed cold, pull the blankets on, and then you know what happens.
It's all Mercury.
It's all Mercury after that. Even with the hormone replacement therapy, still get hot. I don't know. Still working on that.
What are we talking about?
What are we talking? Well, Tim's got 3 good stories for us tonight.
Oh boy.
I'm going to just drop a few hints. We're talking about ex-President Biden and his health condition.
I think that's ex-Vice President Biden, but I digress.
We're going to talk about something happened at Harvard in the anatomy department, and why you might want to rethink where you donate your body to science. And there's a new thing bopping around on, I saw it on Instagram. I don't know if it's on TikTok. It's on the social media post about, I saw this on people with weird fetishes. It's all about urine, and now they're looking at maybe urine is good for you. So we're going to get to that story as well. All right. First off, cheers to today. We've got Doctales with cocktails in our cups. We will give you the drink of the week if you hang in there with us through some of these stories. But first, tell us what's going on with President, ex-president, vice president,
former vice president,
former vice
president,
Joe Biden.
Joe Biden. So there's a couple things in this issue that really kind of drive me crazy with regards to the prostate thing. And I want to bring it around to, does it matter and should we care?
Well, wait, before you do that, the prostate thing, maybe some people haven't been watching the news.
Okay. So in case you're one of my best friends that lives in Orange County, and as he says, I never watch the news, I would not know there was a war unless a bomb dropped on my front yard. So
there
for those listeners,
and I kind of wish I lived like that some days.
Well, he may be the smartest man in the room,
because he's pretty happy.
He's very happy. So here's the deal. So former Vice President Joe Biden gets prostate cancer, but he doesn't just get prostate cancer. He gets like Gleason score 9, stage 4. It's bad. It's like the worst of the worst.
Bone metastases.
Tons of bone mets.
Which means it's been there for a while.
Well, it means it's really bad. It doesn't necessarily mean it's been there for a while. Before 2001, it would mean that he would have had that cancer for years and years, because it would be impossible to ignore. Why? Because you would have like wicked back pain, which is generally where the bone metastasis of prostate cancer goes first, to your spine. So your spine is really sore, and eventually somebody does an x-ray and they're like, oh my gosh, you have these, moth-eaten lesions all over your back. And then you do a couple tests, and like literally in an ER, you could make the diagnosis in legitimately less than an hour. You have a bad x-ray, a PSA of 19 gajillion and acid phosphatase of God knows what, and there's your diagnosis. So there's a lot about this story that makes no sense. So first of all, everyone is freaking out because the last PSA he got apparently was in 2014, which actually, if you look at the guidelines, as much as I hate guidelines, but I think the guidelines from the United States Preventive Services Task Force are actually rational. It's you screen people up to the age of 69, men, because we believe, I know we're traditionalists, men are the only gender, sex, people that have prostates. I know. We're wackos.
I was waiting for you to finish that sentence when you paused.
So at any rate, men only need to be screened to the age of 69. And then it's individualized screening. But I need to read this to you because I think it's really, really good. And it's right from the United States Preventive Services Task Force, or USPSTF.
So in case you're wondering, do you need to screen for prostate cancer yourself? And what are the guidelines? And
yes, because screening
did he know about this or not?
Right. So men aged 55 to 69. For men aged 55 to 69, the decision to undergo periodic PSA-based screening for prostate cancer should be an individual one. Before deciding whether to be screened, men should have an opportunity to discuss the potential benefits, and here is the kicker, harms of screening. There are harms of screening, especially with prostate cancer, with their clinician to incorporate their values and preferences in the decision. Screening offers a small potential benefit of reducing the chance of death from prostate cancer in some men. Okay, I'm going to pause there.
Well, they said it's small potential.
Small, but what you're preventing is death. Okay, there's two things that you want to prevent in prostate cancer, and then there's a myriad of things that you want to prevent from the screening going wrong, which we'll discuss.
What nobody really thinks of.
Which no one thinks about, especially with mammograms, because that's a whole other issue. But here you go. So if you have a elevated PSA, you can fractionate the PSA and get a little bit better idea by doing a free and total PSA or whatever it is. And then what you get is you get down to, okay, well, you have a higher percentage chance. So then the next thing you do is what's called a prostate ultrasound, which is where they take a probe and they put it up your rear, which some people pay extra for, but I don't judge. And then I don't judge. But here's where it gets crazy. So if the prostate ultrasound shows something that potentially is not good, then you move on to the dreaded prostate biopsy. Well, how do they biopsy an organ that is essentially buried in your perineum, or the street word for perineum is taint? Well, that means they take the ultrasound probe in your rear, and then they take long needles and shove them through your perineum into the prostate, and they try to do it as non-randomly as possible. And they take a bunch of core samples, and then they look at those under the microscope and see if you have prostate cancer. So it's very...
And of course, unlike women who get endometrial biopsies while awake, men get to be asleep.
Well, I would be asleep, but I can guarantee you there's probably somebody that, okay, whatever. So it's unpleasant, to say the least. So there's that. Okay, well, then what if one of the biopsy comes back positive? Well, then, if you're young, like Frank Zappa was in his 40s and he died of prostate cancer, that one is pretty black and white. It's like you go whole hog, radical prostatectomy, pull that thing out, get the lymph node biopsies, do the whole entire thing, because it may save your life.
But what is the incidence of someone who's young getting
very, very
prostate
low.
cancer?
It's very low.
So if you're doing a bunch of screening in men, what did we say, 55 to 69?
Right.
with the PSAs. What are the odds are?
Correct.
We're going to be doing a lot of biopsies.
So here's the deal, where everything gets completely confused and I have lots of opinions and absolutely no real knowledge.
Is how the numbers correlate to disease.
Is
right.
Right. But here's the problem.
Because you have enough, this is getting murky because you can have an elevated PSA.
You can have an elevated PSA for decades that does nothing.
With nothing wrong. Correct.
So the screening has to be very individualized, which is what the guideline says. And as much as I hate most guidelines, because it kind of makes, it's kind of like one size fits all. The U.S., I've always been impressed with the United States Preventive Services Task Force. They seem very rational, and that is an incredibly well-written guideline. And even for men between the ages of 55 and 69, they give it a C grade. Okay, like A, B, C, D is how they grade it. It's still graded as not great evidence. Okay, now the thing with Biden gets even muddier because the guy was he was a senator since he was in his 30s, and then he stopped being vice president in 2017. Okay, right, and then he became president in 2021. And they didn't know anything was going on, and they decided to not screen him at all. Like, it's, again, when you look at this whole idea of individualization for screening, if you're running for president, or you are the freaking president of the United States, they're going to screen for everything, or they should. Like the screening.
How old is he now?
80, whatever. He was 70 in, I think, 2014. So it's not like they fumbled the ball from a screening perspective. But like this smells so bad.
I don't know.
Of cover up.
I don't know about that. I might disagree.
Well, you can disagree.
Maybe he was at the point where he was like, don't need screening. Everything's good. No symptoms.
Right. And look, the consequences of prostate surgery, if it's not going to save your life, if it's not going to imminently save your life, is a fairly high potential of being completely impotent and completely and incontinent. So, like, yes. Dude, if you're a super fit, golfing every day, 70 or 75-year-old, or God forbid, younger, 60-year-old like me, and you can't get it up and you can't hold your urine, that is a major loss. So,
well, we're not going to get into the pros and cons of prostate surgery,
right,
all that stuff.
But
as far as the screening goes,
it beggars the question with Biden. And this is where we get to the tinfoil, the tinfoilometer goes, which is, was this potentially a turbo cancer caused by, the thing that we did? And that's
where you're going.
That's the tinfoil shaped elephant in the room. So it seems impossible to me that they didn't know. Like, when you have a Gleason score 9 stage 4 prostate cancer, you knew about that for a long, long time.
Or you got aggressive cancer really quickly.
Very quickly. There's only two options.
I haven't read the news tidbits on that. Are people asking that question?
Well, the medical freedom people are, but again, people jump to like a gajillion conclusions, which is it has to be turbo cancer. We don't know what it is. No. It just doesn't make any sense. So the issue is here. It becomes this gigantic wedge issue of, the Democrats are lying. They were lying. And I'm like, okay, well, tell me something else I don't know. Like, oh, guess what? The Democrats are lying. The sky is blue and farts stink. It's like, enough.
There's plenty more places to put your energy into than just get on with managing the country. There you go.
Right.
Let's not worry about poor ex-Vice President Biden. I mean, heart goes out. It's my grandfather, great-grandfather, all had metastatic prostate cancer. I watched my grandpa die from it. It is horrible. It's very painful. It is not fun. So,
but
that's all I.
The take-home message for our wonderful listeners.
So what
is screening?
What is your take-home?
My take-home is screening is not free, and I don't mean money. I mean risk. There is a risk associated with screening, and so
and that's why the guidelines, cut it off at 69.
But our goal on BS Free MD and Doctales with Cocktails is not to practice medicine. It is to tickle your brains and hopefully be provocative in a way that stimulates questioning. Because we have said this, and we should say it more, and it's going to be our byline, which is the quality of your questions determine the quality of your life. Curious people change the world. That's the bottom line. And so
what do you recommend for screening? Are you going to?
I recommend that
you haven't had a PSA and you're into the 60th.
I've had tons of PSAs. I had a PSA.
That's how much I know.
Yeah. Well, yeah, that's fine.
We're really connected, aren't we?
Totally. but I think you need to find physicians that are willing to discuss the absolute pros and the absolute cons, rather than just, you need this test, here you go.
Yeah.
Okay. Because that's something that's fundamental to the practice of medicine. Is this
test going to be helpful or not helpful? And what are we going to do if it's positive? And what are we going to do?
Right. Yeah. Which is called informed consent, which is,
instead of just ordering a smattering of tests.
Right.
And now what? All right. Well.
So there you go.
Honestly, prayers go to him and his family, because he's
going
to succumb to that, and it is not nice.
No, it's brutal. It is. That is a torturous. That is a torturous. Morphine-induced fog of death. It's not good. So we are not waving a flag of cheering or anything like that. We're just, we're asking the questions that I think need to be asked.
Okay, well, back to, what's happening in Harvard University. This story Tim told me about, and you can't make this up. This is not from The Onion or what's the other? Babylon Bee. This is really bizarre. And if your creep meter goes off like mine does, I have that. That's my spiritual gift, is sensing creepiness, people that are not authentic. Then trust yourself in this situation. Go ahead, Tim. Tell us.
Okay, so here's the headline from ABC News. Former Harvard morgue manager pleads guilty to trafficking body parts from donated cadavers. The former manager of Harvard Medical School morgue pleaded guilty to stealing body parts from cadavers donated to the Boston institution and then selling them, federal prosecutors say. Cedric Lodge, 57, of Goffstown, New Hampshire, pleaded guilty to transporting stolen human remains, according to the Department of Justice. He pleaded guilty during a change of plea hearing Wednesday. Once
the evidence came out.
Yeah.
It was all out there.
He faces a maximum sentence of 10 years in prison and a fine of $250,000.
And he was selling parts on the internet? Where?
Across multiple states from 2018 until 2020.
Across states? Not like to China on the black web?
No. There are creepy ass collectors. Like, I don't know if this is dark web stuff or what.
Yes.
That collect, like, he would
they
sell
want a heart in a jar
or a brain in a jar or or to quote SNL, a dick in a box. I don't know. I'm just an observer that asks a lot of questions.
Now so that's a federal crime to do that. I'm just thinking, I'm gonna not incriminate anybody, but I do know, without getting specific, that med students back in the day, while doing gross anatomy dissection, were known to play pranks on each other or other college friends and actually do nasty things by hiding eyeballs or body parts in lockers or someone's kitchen, a refrigerator, etc.
That never happened in my class. At least not that I know of.
I have heard stories, and I do know of one. Wasn't me involved, but it happened. And so
that is 100%
like that would happen.
Like that's criminal.
Yeah.
Like you're a freaking criminal.
Now, back in the day, I don't know if it was probably criminal.
Oh, there's no question it's criminal.
Do people know that it was?
It's been criminal for a long time.
But I've heard of that. But actually selling them.
Oh, it was tens of thousands of dollars of parts. Like he was like a dealer.
Okay, then you forgot the best part of the story. He had a giveaway, didn't he?
He had a giveaway. So this is from one of my favorite Substacks, COVID and Coffee, with the illustrious Jeff Childers, Esquire. Because he digs deep or has a team that digs deep, and then he writes all this up. There was a big giveaway that Cedric or whatever his name was not on the up and up. His license plate was GRIMR, Grim Reaper, and his wife, who worked with him in the lab, was DKSHDWS, or Dark Shadows. If you have people working in a lab and their license plate is Grim Reaper, that might be a clue that they're weirdos. I'm just saying.
Yeah. If you're advertising that in your car, you probably, I don't know, the people that have the Make America Great Again, you probably know that what they believe. If you got the
yes,
I'm trying to think of another one. Faith written on your forearm as a tattoo, we probably know what you believe. If you've got Grim Reaper as a license plate, I don't think that's a joke.
Sturgis tattoo.
It tells me where you've been.
Yes. So, but it's like
Grim Reaper.
You can't hide who you are, and it's just like
that's not even.
I want to know how we got caught.
Like that would be a cool license plate to put on your golf cart in the golf cart parade for Halloween for one day, along with the other accoutrement.
Yeah.
But what state would allow a license plate like that?
Oh no, that's not bad. The stuff we get away with in Florida is.
I can't believe some states would allow that.
I have a license plate.
I tried to get Wine Lover in Oregon.
No, but
they wouldn't let me put alcohol, anything related to alcohol on my license plate yet. The plate had vineyards on it.
Right. Okay. But it's Oregon. Okay. Which this will tell you how completely insane that state is. All right. So they made a plate that says wine country on it.
You couldn't put Wine Lover on it.
Well, you had.
I tried to.
No, but one was WINER, Winer. Perfect. Right. Double entendre, et cetera, et cetera. No. That's promoting alcohol. But you have a plate that says wine country on it.
Not promoting alcohol.
And that's not promoting alcohol. Winer is. They have a board of people from all different professions in Oregon that meet to decipher license plates and make sure that they're not morally reprehensible. But this is also the state.
The Grim Reaper.
Right. But this is also the state that completely decriminalized all hard drugs, because somehow a guy shooting up in the nicest area of Portland is perfectly fine.
Outside of PetSmart.
But if I have Winer on my license plate on my 2006 Cadillac SRX,
you're part of the problem.
Then I'm the problem. Not the guy taking a dump outside of the Legislative Assembly in Salem. That guy is fine. But Winer, I tried to put absinthe on my license for my 72 Corvette because it's the color of absinthe. Oh, no, there's no way. No, like people are going to read that and they're not going to know what it means, and then they're going to Google it.
Perfect.
And then they're going to go get the green liquor, and they're like people say, well, they're like, why did you leave Oregon? Because they're insane. That's why. It's completely insane.
Looks like they drove you that way.
No, it's complete. It's like you can't make this up. It's like,
oh my,
hard drugs. Okay.
Oh,
wine license plate that we made when you like.
I would just say my advice to everybody is trust your intuition.
Correct.
If you read something like that on somebody's plate and you think they're a weirdo, and they probably are.
So there's the take home. The take home is you can't hide who you are. And most people don't.
Most people
people don't.
Put it out there in their sleeve or their car or their something somehow. So
like if you have a license plate that says DRUNKGY, drunk guy, probably going to get pulled over a lot. Just saying.
Probably in a red car too.
Yeah.
All right. Time for the
drink
of the week. What you got?
I got Monkey in Paradise
We featured that one before.
We did, but I wanted to feature it again because I feel like I'm a monkey in paradise.
It's sugar-free, gluten-free, and
it's from St. Petersburg.
I would say also
award-winning vodka from the St. Petersburg, which is one of my favorite places because that's where I go kiteboarding.
Carb-free. There's no carbs in it. Well,
yeah, but it's still liquor.
It's either carbs or fat calories. There's still calories in it. It's not protein, so it's either how you count your macros. Well, I guess it's fat calories. How do you count your macros? Is it alcohol, carbs, or is it fat?
No, it's magic.
I think I know what it is.
It's magic.
Magic.
I ate 3.
I love all these people that we know, plenty of them, family and friends who are watching their sugar, their carb intake for various reasons, diabetes or other, and then they're like, I got to get the diet soda to go in my vodka because I'm watching my carbs, or I have to get the sugar-free. Can't do the. I'm like, but you're drinking alcohol. What?
Alcohol. Yeah. No, I know.
Anyway. So, Monkey in Paradise, it's very, very nice. And I like the label. Wonderful. Grab yourself a summer cocktail. We feature vodka on here frequently.
Because we like it. And I'm half Russian, so.
And it's one of those things, since I've been struggling with some allergies, it's a nice one that does not raise your histamine. So there you go. We
got one of the best comments ever.
Yeah, I know.
Make America BS free again.
I know. I read that. Thanks,
I don't know
Mitch.
if again.
He also wants you to run for president.
Yeah, well, yeah. I can't because I was not born here. Unfortunately, I was born in
Hawaii.
Yes, that's right. That's exactly right.
Whatever.
All right, so that's good.
All right. And last but not least, let's get to some of the viral video that I saw that a friend sent to us.
Okay.
You know, I've never had. Okay, this is a story. I can't throw.
Why don't we just play the video?
I can't. I was going to throw somebody under the bus, but I do know people that have actually done this.
Okay.
So play the video.
I think we're going to end up with a debate. The video is about 3 minutes. It's worth a watch. So here we go, kids.
Oldest healing modality ever in the world, and maybe the most effective. All right, what is it?
Urine therapy.
Your own urine. Okay, I'm serious. Okay, now hold on a second, because this guy literally at a seminar challenged me to drink my own urine for 30 days. And I wasn't that skeptical because I've utilized with people that have UTIs, very complicated infections, drink a little bit of morning urine, and it's worked, okay? It acts like a homeopathy or a homeopathic, and it works. So I knew of it, but you're saying, Dan, it's so much more than that. He started sending me a lot of studies and different things, so tell them.
Yeah, well, one of the things that people they start to really get acute to the fact that this could be a big deal is the stem cell aspect.
Your urine carries it.
Correct. So stem cells are in the urine and they proliferate because urine itself is a culture medium, which is super fascinating. So 100 million stem cells were found in a 24-hour urine sample by the Wake Forest, replicated 10 times, came from an NIH grant. Originally 140 cells went to 100 million. What could they do? I mean, people are spending about $20,000 per 100 million stem cells. So that would mean an average adult human is producing around $5 million worth of stem cells.
Stem cells obviously heal, but there's more to urine. It delivers these metabolites that act as little cell-to-cell communicators that are holding the knowledge of what your body needs.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm making it as simple as I can.
Yeah.
You know, that's part of this healing.
Exactly, and I think that if you look at why babies survive in a toxic world, in the womb, where we found of the 400 chemicals that Environmental Working Group they tested for, they found 287. Of those, 180 were proven to cause brain deformations, birth defects, and cancer. So now how do the babies even survive the womb when they're getting that? Not only when you're living, you're not turning over cells as much as they are,
right,
and growing as much as they are. So how do they even grow when they're having that many toxins,
right,
proven chemicals, the carcinogens, that would kill them? But what happens is the urine is the critical process. It's basically the only thing they do in the womb. They're moving their limbs a tiny bit, but they're breathing in, they're drinking the urine constantly, hundreds of milliliters per day, and it's actually a signaling mechanism. It's canceling those poisons because what you think is the toxin is actually...
I'm done.
All right, stop.
I'm done. Please make it stop.
I like how he extrapolated that into babies are drinking urine in the womb and therefore surviving.
Because they'd all die if they didn't drink piss.
So amniotic fluid contains their urine, but it contains so much more. And all these toxins, he says, that are in there that would actually normally kill them. I don't know if I believe that.
No, I don't. So, but there's two sides to this story. My first side is me up until about 2 or 3 years ago would go, okay, Daniel Pompa, you got to know who he is. He's a chiropractic physician. I have no issue.
He was doing the interview.
He's doing the interview. He's a massive influencer, making God knows how much money off of doing whatever. More power to you. Be an entrepreneur. I get it. That's all great. Normally I would be like, Cairo, shut up. You've never prescribed medicine. Stay in your lane.
He said he drank his urine for 30 days, but he didn't tell us what happened.
Right. Well, he grew all his hair back. He used to, no, okay. So normally I would blow this away, but here's the thing. This could be true. And so
there could be stem cells in urine. However, didn't they culture them and let them grow in a culture medium?
Well, you don't eat stem cells because it would be called like steak. Like, like you don't eat stem cells.
No, but what I mean is
you inject them.
I didn't get it. So first off, they took the urine and then they put it in a culture medium and then they grow.
Nope.
They're saying that there's already that 100 million of them in the urine.
No. Yep. He's saying that urine itself is a culture medium.
Oh,
so the stem cells can.
Okay.
Well, if it's a culture medium, it's still going to grow something like, I don't know, like maybe bacteria.
Urine should be sterile.
Well, it normally would be sterile, but so there's so much.
There's all the waste products in there.
So this is the problem.
Ammonia, nitrogen.
This is the problem with most influencers.
All those vitamins I've taken.
Yes, exactly. This is the problem with most influencers, is they take a snippet of information that has several partial truths. Is it true there's stem cells in urine? Yeah, I'm sure that's true. Is it a culture medium? Yes, it's true. Do babies inhale urine and drink it in utero? Absolutely.
Of course.
Like all of that's true. Okay. 100% of that's true. You know what else babies don't do? Is they don't take a dump. So therefore, because babies grow and are amazingly healthy when they're born, we should stop taking a dump. Like it's just,
I wish I could do that.
Like it just gets
Make
silly.
life so much easier.
So what happens is influencers take these truths, they knit them into a kind of a hypothesis, and they go from hypothesis to conclusion in 3 minutes. And then everyone needs to drink their pee. And look, if you want to do a gigantic study,
I want to do a study on myself.
If you want to do a gigantic randomized study, which would have to be placebo controlled, of drinking urine, I'm 100% for that. But this is why we actually study stuff. Because I'm telling you, the placebo effect is very real. And if you're drinking your own piss, the chances of you not having a positive outcome is 0, because that has got to be the most powerful placebo in the world. So maybe next time I'm down in the dumps or I need whatever it is.
I was going to say like, you were down in the Sahara Desert. Next time you're
like
down in the Sahara, stranded.
I'm my own draft beer supplier.
Or you're back in kiteboard country and you're climbing through the brushes for 5 hours.
But then there's this whole concept that just kind of internally is contradictory, which, we're made to heal, we're made to whatever. Okay, why do we pee? Because it's nitrogenous waste. We have to get rid of the nitrogen-based waste. It's waste. Yeah. Our body's getting rid of it for a reason. I don't think
your body wants to waste stem cells too badly. They must be in there, but you know what I mean?
Yeah, but just the intuitive part of it's waste. Why would you drink waste? Well, because every culture in the world has done this, other than our modern whatever. Okay. And which cultures are like actually rich and powerful?
That should bring us to parasite cleanses, because
that's a whole other conversation.
All over the place now too.
That's a whole other
Everybody's doing parasite cleanses.
So, I'm willing to accept that this may be real. I'm willing to accept it may be beneficial. But I want to see the actual data. I don't want to hear two guys talking about how great it is. I want them to say, we had a study and we had 20,000 people in the study, and 10,000 people were given really crappy tasting yellow water, and the other 10,000 were given their own urine. And
we can
show me the outcome.
What are you going to measure? That's the question. What are you measuring?
Well, that's exactly the problem. It does all these great things. Well, if you're going to do a study,
my shoulder pain disappeared.
Right, you're going to have to go. Like you have to have an endpoint. Like, and the question again, this goes back to the fundamental foundation of what we're trying to do with BS for MD, which is the quality of your life is the quality of your questions. The quality of your study is based on the quality of the initial question and then all the other details that go into it. And that's what drives me completely crazy.
However,
I think my hair grew 14.6% faster when I drank my own piss. And I'm like, yeah, but
okay. Wow. Out here. However, who is one of the best, most world-renowned gastroenterologists that is an expert on the gut microbiome, that has done fecal transplants where they put poop back into people's bodies and other people's, mind you. So there is a place for putting waste back into the body. So
yeah, but that's totally drifting. It's not your waste. You're not doing a fecal transplant with your own crap. That's why it's called a transplant.
Right.
It's not an autologous transplant.
But my point being, maybe it should be researched to see if maybe there is stuff in there that could be helpful.
Honestly,
all I know is I saw this on like people with weird fetishes on TV, where this lady was collecting her urine all day long in the back of the toilet bowl in some like ice cream bucket, where it literally reminded me of like being at the cabin where you couldn't flush urine.
I would love nothing better.
The septic tank, it was so disgusting.
I would love nothing better than my own urine being a super mega.
You're gonna mix that with your monkey in paradise?
I would, like a superfood. That would be great.
Forget that kombucha. Just drink.
Like that would be fantastic.
Tim's
but they're trying
morning glow.
But like, how in the world can a stem cell survive your stomach acid and do anything good?
It's not in your stomach acid. It's happily bouncing through your kidneys.
Right, but you're drinking it. Like the whole point is that the
when you drink
it
again. I see what you're saying. Yes.
Right. Like it's just,
yeah. I don't know. Maybe it's pH compatible. Maybe they should study it, and maybe you should volunteer. No, it's not good.
It just.
Well, takeaway. Any parting thoughts for that for the listeners? Don't try this at home.
Well, I think
that's my point.
No, it comes down. It comes down to
let someone else do the research.
Well, it comes.
First, do no harm.
Yeah. Well, there's a lot of things, but for me, it's the whole influencer world. Okay, because what happens is we get into these tribes, and then people are like, they're a Peter Attia guy, or they're a Huberman guy, or they're a, Pampa guy, or they're whatever. And a lot of these people say stuff that's that's true and that's good. But yeah, you still have to do what works for you. It comes back to the first story, which is, for the president of the United States at 75 to get a prostate or a PSA makes a tremendous amount of sense, partially because he's the president of the United States. And you want to know, where his health vectors are going so that you can appropriately treat things that potentially are going to become very dangerous or not. Okay. And so, but again, from a political perspective, if they would have done that and they would have found Biden's cancer, in 2017 or 2018, when he left the White House as vice president, there's no way in hell he would ever have been running for president. Like, it wouldn't have happened. Like, it would not have happened. If it was me with a potential, political aspiration of running for president again, never leaving politics, etc., would I do a test at 70 that wasn't absolutely recommended, that would potentially crater the rest of my political ambitions? Probably not.
And
so I don't disagree with that.
And this is all back to urine. How? I'm just thinking maybe.
No, it's all back to the fact that the screening is individualized, and it's based on data, but data and guidelines are data and guidelines.
I was still stuck on the urine story.
It's based on thousands of people. It has to be individualized. You come back to the urine thing, and again, it's just like, show me real data, and I'll be happy to entertain it, because I guarantee you.
I want them to do the study. I got to get myself some beef liver to get my ferritin up. So,
well, but the study
that's a big waste dumping zone.
But they need to get, when they make these studies, they need to have like the catchy name, right? Like the potential increase in serotonin secretion, whatever, like, pissed off, which would be you'd get the acronym, and it would be the pissed off study shows that, if you drink.
You just want to be there to name the study.
Well, yeah, because that's my creative side. But again, it comes back full circle to this whole idea that you got to ask good questions. You got to keep asking questions, because ultimately curious people are the ones that change the world.
Well,
I think
on
that's
that note,
enough.
Stay curious, my friends.
Exactly.
And speaking of social media and influencers, though, before we say goodbye and part ways, I got to send a little prayer out to all my friends and family in northern Manitoba, my hometown of, don't laugh at the name, Flin Flon, as well as Lynn Lake, I think, all getting evacuated because of giant forest fires out there. So to all of you, because we know what it's like to have been evacuated and have things in your backyard. It is frightening. Prayers to you and for safety for everybody. And we pray for a big, massive 3-day monsoon from above. Yeah. On that note, stay cool, stay hydrated so that your urine is not too glowing. And but if it is, that means hydrate with water, but enjoy a nice cocktail of the day or the week every now and then responsibly. Until next time, everybody, thanks for tuning in to BS Free MD Doctales with Cocktails. Check out our guest interviews that come out Thursday, and we'll see you all next time.